All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Ultra High Net Worth Clients Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Broadhead. Today, we have the pleasure of talking with Chad Willardson. Hey, Chad, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Sure. Yes. Chad Willardson. Thanks for having me on, Chris. Founder and president of Pacific Capital, a fiduciary family office based here in Southern California. Um, Married, father of 5 kids, busy family, lots of sports. And teaching kids about money is also something I love to do. Created a business called Gravy Stack, which is a gaming and financial bank for kids that just launched this summer. So pretty excited about that. And
Mhm.
happy to be here, though. Very excited. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on. That's exciting. Five kids. What ages?
8 all the way up to 18. So I've got a second grader at the youngest and a college freshman as our oldest.
Wow. Yeah, I noted in your our notes we have on you that you're a big proponent of financial literacy for up and coming kids. Our kids need to be financially literate. Can you talk a little bit about that before we get into the more serious stuff?
Yeah, I just think it's important to make an intentional effort to teach kids about money. It's something that I'm passionate about, and we don't see it taught very effectively in the school system. So I think it's up to us as parents and as leaders in the industry to really give kids and teenagers a leg up on their future.
hmm for all the parents out there listening, what are some tips or the lowest hanging fruit that they could uh, do or take advantage of?
Yeah, I'd say the easiest thing you can do is start having regular money conversations in your family. Make it a habit to discuss one topic a week, something simple. Look it up on the internet to, decide what you want to teach or how you feel about a specific financial topic and share it with your family. You don't have to, you don't have to wait till your kids are 16 or 17. You can do this with kids at a very young age. I think that's the easiest thing I would suggest. My second book is called Smart Not Spoiled. It's a book for kids and parents. Really talks about some of the easy activities and lesson ideas that you can review as a family, to give that initial foundation about money in the home with your kids.
hmm Yeah, and that's so important. I remember growing up, I had a fairly good outlook on finance. My dad's a financial advisor, so
There you go.
since a very young age, I was familiar with that world. But a lot of my friends, just living paycheck to paycheck, um, stacking up credit card debt, just doing a lot of kind of naive, silly things. Is there any like specific advice or tenets you kind of instill in your kids and any younger folks who will listen?
Yeah, I mean, the beginning starts with understanding how much money is coming in and how much money is going out. So I think having conversations about just understanding what cash flow means and spending less than you earn, the difference between a debit card and a credit card, what borrowing money is like, all the different types of ways to borrow money, and really how to earn money. I think that's the biggest thing that we don't really teach kids is how to become value creators and how to use their talents, gifts, and interests to earn money and not just settle for maybe the typical teenager job at the movie theater or the fast food place, but be creative in ways that you can earn money.
hmm Yeah, amen. More entrepreneurial spirit.
Sure.
So let's talk about your entrepreneurial spirit. You are involved in the financial advising industry. How did you become a financial advisor?
So I did an internship while in college for a mutual fund company and was really kind of the right-hand man of the one of the mutual fund portfolio managers there. And I just was always into personal finance and I got really excited about the stock market and it just fascinated me. At the same time, I'm more of an extrovert working with people rather than just being an analyst. So I was fortunate enough to marry both my passion for finance, but also my desire to work directly with people. And I got a job straight out of college at Merrill Lynch. So I was at Merrill Lynch Wealth Management. I was there for 9 years and then left Merrill Lynch in 2011 and started Pacific Capital. So that's kind of how I started in the industry. And then we've been an independent fiduciary for entrepreneurs ever since. And that's,
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever see myself changing.
Yeah, great. What built up the courage to go out on your own from Merrill?
I think it was more the just disgust with the bureaucracy and the challenges than it was courage. After the Great Recession, it was a different place to work for, and there were a lot of
Mm,
challenges, and so I wasn't excited to go to work anymore, and that's when I knew I needed to make a
mm,
change.
yeah. Yeah, our listeners will notice that we have never had any guests who are currently working for Merrill Lynch or J.P. Morgan or any of the big wirehouses, and that's not by accident. They're not allowed.
Yeah,
They
it's
they
true.
can't they can't talk to us.
It's true.
So I think that tells you everything you need to know about the marketing world of the big wirehouses.
Right.
They're a little behind the times.
It's true.
That's awesome. So how did it go? How did you build the business?
I mean, I left Merrill Lynch 2011, like I said, and then I reached out to some of my entrepreneurial clients that I had found while working at Merrill Lynch, and they joined me, but mostly I started over. So it was really about word of mouth. And I did some seminar marketing when I was at Merrill Lynch, but I really wasn't into that as much because I got a busy family with my own kids. So leaving at night wasn't really ideal for me. So really, I just did a lot of networking and relationship building, um, joining different groups and meeting business owners and leveraging the reputation I had already built. I stayed active on LinkedIn. That's something I've always done. Eventually, I wrote a few books. I'm publishing my fourth book next month. Um, Started a podcast show called the Smart Money Parenting Show. So I joined Strategic Coach 4 years ago. That's been a great way to really learn how to be a better business owner. That's helped me grow and set goals and build my team out. So
Mm-hmm.
lots of different things, not one single thing, I guess.
Mm. What is strategic coach?
Strategic Coach is an entrepreneurial coaching organization run by Dan Sullivan. Dan is 79 years old. He's been coaching for 49 years, coaching entrepreneurs. It's for entrepreneurs of all industries all over the world. So there are some in-person options in the US and Canada and London, and then there are a lot of virtual options. But it's really it's really an entrepreneurial coaching mastermind group that I've found to be very valuable. I'm happy to refer any of the listeners there. I've built a good reputation with the leadership team there, so I think a warm lead referral does help. Not everyone who applies gets in, but it's been a great organization for me.
Hmm. Would you compare that to like YPO or EO or any of those things?
I don't know EO very well. I know YPO. I would say it's somewhat similar. However, it's a lot of there are a lot more individualized coaching exercises where there's new materials every quarter, and we are working through them and going through these thinking exercises, and then doing a lot of breakouts, meeting a lot of new people, um, setting goals, and then coming back in 3 months and reporting. So we have quarterly in-person meetings. My meetings are in October in Chicago that I fly to those meetings every quarter. Um, I think it's one of the most valuable things I've done as an entrepreneur, and it's probably not even close.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like the accountability is just incredible for
It
that.
is. Yep.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. I may ask you for that warm lead myself.
Absolutely. Happy to share.
Yeah, awesome. So, when you left Merrill Lynch, did you already have kind of your ideal client to serve in mind, or was there an evolution in who you serve after you went independent?
After I left, it was really about serving entrepreneurs. Back then, it was entrepreneurs with at least $1 million to invest. That was our standard minimum new client requirement. That's now $10 million. So we work with fewer clients, but wealthier clients now. But the idea of a growth focused entrepreneur who's coachable, typically family oriented, those were the types of people that we definitely had honed in on by the time I left Merrill Lynch.
Hmm. Is there any other specifics about these groups, or is just a monetary level?
Yeah, I mean, it's just they're entrepreneurs. They're typically
Yeah.
first generation entrepreneurs. And they have a growth mindset. They're not done growing, accumulating, creating. They're not looking to retire.
Hmm.
We don't really work with retirees. So that's basically it. Industry, not really specific. So
Hmm. Yeah. And you decided on that niche because it sounds like that's you are that niche.
correct. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
who I get along with. That's who I can relate to and give counsel from experience on.
Yeah. Nice. Um, and what's the best way you found to find this type of client?
Um, I don't know that I found the best way. I think that just being active everywhere. I mean, I don't think there's one secret sauce that makes it all work, but like I said before, I'm putting out a lot of content. I write newsletters, I write books, I write on LinkedIn, I do podcast interviews, I join many different groups. I try to be out there in the public. The types of clients we're going for are uncommon. So it is usually through personal relationships or referrals that we find someone who's an entrepreneur with at least 10 million already saved up.
Hmm.
So it's not like these people are just walking everywhere at the store, It's a smaller group.
That's awesome. So what does it look like? You come across one of these folks through your various endeavors. What is the kind of sales process look like?
I mean, initially it's a first goals conversation with our team. It's probably like most financial advisors where we're doing just a lot of questioning and trying to understand what they're looking for. And then we go through our trademark process called the financial life inspection. So if they hire us, they're going to pay for a financial life inspection where we dig deep into 100 different checkpoints across the spectrum from investments to insurance to estate planning to taxes to basically every money subject that touches them. And then once the financial life inspection process is complete, they can decide whether they want to hire us for the full service investment management or if they want to take the plan and implement it elsewhere.
Hmm.
So it's kind of the process. It takes at least a few weeks.
Mm.
I feel like the
Nice.
planning first definitely gives us more context to make recommendations and give advice. So that's
Hmm.
important to us as fiduciaries.
Yeah, that sounds extremely thorough. But how do you get them interested in working with you in the first place?
Usually it's something they read or they saw. So they're coming to us interested already. They've done some kind of homework.
Hmm.
Lots of times they've read one of my books, or maybe it's through LinkedIn. I get a lot of leads through LinkedIn.
Hmm. So would you say content is one of your biggest lead finders?
For sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
for me it is. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Most guests claim referrals. You're the first one that's admitted it's content.
Yeah, for me, I think referrals come, but I think referrals come also because of content. So
Hmm.
like if someone is thinking of if their friend is asking them, "Hey, you know anyone great with money?" and they're like, "Oh, I just watched a video or I just read a book written by this guy, check it out." I think that plays a part. So I think referrals is the easy answer, but you still have to be out there producing content.
Hmm. Any advice on how to create content that attracts your ideal customer?
Yeah, be very specific about who your ideal client is. Don't try to be all things to all people. Most financial advisor websites pretend that they serve pretty much everybody. It's people who are pre-retirement, post-retirement, kids, adults, athletes, business owners, it's like, I don't know who they actually serve because they basically named every possible category of human being, So I think if you just produce content, be specific and be willing to be bold about it. That's what
Hmm.
I tell people straight up. Like, you got to be an entrepreneur and you got to have 10 million bucks or more. So if someone's a CEO and they have a lot of company stock, like, they're not our client. That's okay.
Hmm.
Oh, I have no problem turning business away when they don't fit our niche.
Hmm. Yeah, can you expand on that more? Like what green flags you look for to identify a good fit?
Yeah, I think someone who's coachable, someone who is has a history of delegating, someone who has a pleasant personality, someone who is long-term thinking and goal focused, someone who has the ability and the desire to produce more income in the future.
Hmm.
And I don't really care where they live as long as they have that mindset. So it's not really about demographics, it's more about their mindset, the psychographics.
Hmm. Yeah, awesome. Can you, without getting into specifics, can you share a recent success story or, success you've had with a client recently?
Yeah, funny story. We got an online inquiry from someone in Guatemala, and it looked fake because it had a bunch of Spanish addresses, and it just didn't look like a real inquiry. It looked like spam. But they set up an appointment, a Zoom appointment, and so we took the Zoom appointment, and it in fact was real. And this business owner down in Guatemala had read my book on some like top bestseller newsletter about financial books and decided to give us a call. And turns out he's a very successful entrepreneur in Guatemala. He flew to America to meet us, opened up accounts. He's an 8-figure client. And it came from reading my book on a Kindle while on a treadmill somewhere in Guatemala. So
Wow.
it's pretty cool.
Wow. That's incredible. Can you talk about a success story, managing a client's assets?
What do you mean? Like,
Like how you help them to optimize their, investments and all that.
yeah, I mean, recently we had a client come over from a big brokerage firm, and they essentially had a lot of things spread out between many different institutions. And I think the biggest change transformation we made for them as a couple was sorting and organizing, clarifying everything that they own, cutting down their costs, getting rid of some of the illiquid investments they own that were not producing anything, that were very expensive, and just giving them a very clear picture of what's going on in their financial life with a dashboard, with cash flow projections, with we helped their CPA go back and amend some old tax returns and get some money back. So I think just having someone who put their finger on the pulse a lot closer and
Hmm.
got them very organized, for them, that was a big lift of a stressful burden they had.
Hmm. Oh, that's great. For our listeners who are looking to work with more ultra high net worth clients, can you share kind of the best way to serve them? Like, are there commonalities among a lot of your clients? Like, sounds like organization was what that last client needed help with.
Yeah, I think the higher net worth clients are looking for uniqueness. They get pitched a lot. They hear a lot of different things they hear a lot of things that sound the same from most financial advisors, but they're really looking for what's unique. They don't want to just have stocks and bonds. They really value transparency. I don't think it's an area where you can really fake it till you make it. I think these types of people at this level can see through that. So I believe approaching them honestly really does matter, and not pretending like you've got a bunch of clients their size when you really don't. I think they would appreciate the honesty and the transparency up front.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So are they getting more interested in like alternatives?
I just see a lot more interest in private investments, private equity, and real estate, things like that, private deals that maybe they want access to things. So in the old days, that's why they'd go to the big Merrill Lynch's and Goldman Sachs because they had special access. That's not really true anymore, but they want to know who your network is. I think that matters to them.
Um, and if you don't mind sharing, I'm always curious. This is the Ultra High Net Worth Clients podcast. Without sharing any specifics, would you be comfortable sharing how you found and closed your largest client?
Yeah, I mean, my largest client is nine figures. They were introduced through a um, personal friend of both of ours, and then I think we were introduced, we met, but nothing really came of it. And I think he followed me on LinkedIn and was kind of watching and just observing the things that I share and post and engage in for the next few months. And then he reached out and said, "Hey, why don't we have a meeting and let's talk?" And so that's how it started. So there was a little bit of personal referral, but then there was also a lot of just observation from a distance that
Mm-hmm.
piqued his interest as he was evaluating different people to meet with.
Mm. So that sounds like a combination of a referral and content.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's awesome. Yeah, no, the content aspect I think is so important. How did you kind of realize the importance of being findable and easily accessed online?
I think just thinking about what the things my buying decisions, like how do I make purchasing decisions? Who do I hire? Well, it's the people that I see that are constantly out there. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, if you're hidden, if you're behind the scenes, backstage, behind your desk, not doing anything to be out there in the public, then no one's going to find you.
Mm-hmm.
So that just seemed like pretty obvious to me. So it was just a matter of me being creative enough to come up with good content, and that I think that's been a big help for us.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's great. Um, I have to ask all my high performing guests. You're doing 1,000 things. You got a big healthy family. How do you uh, properly allocate your time for optimum outputs and enjoyment?
I only do very few things. So um, my schedule is often full, but it's full of very few things. So it's things that I'm good at and I do often.
Mm.
And then I have two executive assistants and we have a great team. So there's a lot of things that normally would be on my plate that are not. So I don't have an office phone. I don't even have an office myself. Our team, we have a big office headquarters, but in that office, I don't have my own office anymore. So I don't have a office phone. I don't do my own work emails anymore. Haven't done that for years. So no voicemail. So I mean, my EAs take care of a lot. So that
Yeah,
allows me to be freed up to focus on what matters.
yeah. Have a strong, effective team, and then focus on what you're great at, what you enjoy
Correct.
doing. Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. Love that. I try to do that myself on a far smaller scale than you, my friend. Um, that's great. So it sounds like you do a lot of other business ventures and passions outside of Pacific Capital. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, I'm a co-founder of a sports facility called the Draft Sports Complex, and we started volleyball and basketball travel ball teams. So we've got, I don't know, maybe 40 to 50 teams right now, and we host big tournaments every weekend, ESPN tournaments, Nike tournaments, and then a lot of travel sports tournaments. Um, I've got a real estate business where I have invested since 2009. We've got a whole property management team that works there, and one of my EAs is in charge of that. Co-founder of Gravy Stack. I'm also an elected official managing 660 million for our city as the city treasurer. So that's not something that's paying Pacific Capital, but that's a portfolio that I'm in charge of managing for the taxpayers. When I was first elected in 2016, it was 229 million. So I'm happy to say we've almost tripled
Wow, wow.
since then. So I don't anticipate anyone running against me next year, but we'll see. But
Good luck to
those,
them if they
yeah,
decide.
those were some of the I guess, primary things. I'm a writer for Entrepreneur Magazine, soon to be a writer for Forbes as well, but we get that finalized word, I think, next week. So
Hmm. That's great. If I had just met you after this interview, I would be like, you are the perfect client for Chad
it's
Willardson.
true, right? I would be a great client for myself.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, we are coming towards the end of our time together. Thanks so much for taking the time to do this. I do like to end the interviews with a kind of open-ended, take wherever you want question, and that question is, what are you working towards?
I'm working towards impact and legacy. I think continuing to build something that gives all of my team members, family, extended family, and the charities I care about just a lot of significance. So I'm working because I really love what I do and because I enjoy it.
That's great. And where can our audience find out more about you?
ChadWillardson.com, best place. LinkedIn as well. I'm active on there.
Hmm. Awesome. And I'll definitely be checking out some of your books and looking more into strategic coach.
Awesome.
Chad, thank you so much for taking the time to spend with us today. This was
Thank,
awesome.
yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. All our listeners out there, we'll see you next time. Keep on growing, everybody.